Hi, I want to tell you something that happened to me. Well, today is Monday, October the 16th, and this happened to me just last Friday, which would have been October the 13th. So we were in Raleigh with Dylan to do he had to have an MRI. And so while we were waiting, I did a little bit of work on my laptop, and then I got bored, and I thought, well, I'm going to go for a walk, which is because I really like to walk. And it was a pretty hot, miserable day, and I wasn't dressed up at all because I was the day off, and we had to travel to Raleigh, blah blah blah. And so I go for a walk, and I have my backpack with me because Cindy had driven and she had the keys, and she was not available to me because she was with the whole MRI thing. And so I thought, well, that's not a problem. I'll just take my backpack with me with my laptop in it and go for a walk. So I set my little timer, put my little earbuds in, and went for a walk. After I'd been gone about 15 minutes or so, Cindy called me and asked me if I could bring Dylan a bottle of water because he was thirsty, while he was getting his MRI or whatever. So I said, no problem. There's a CVS just across the road from me, and I could just go over there and I'll get a bottle of water, and then I'll be back in about 10 minutes. So I don't think anything about this, except I have to tell you how I look, or I have to describe to you, how I'm dressed. So when I go into the CVS, A, I have a mask on because I've started wearing a mask again. B, I am wearing a t-shirt. It's not raggedy or anything like that, but I'm wearing a yellow t-shirt that I have left over when I helped with the Cub Scouts when Caleb was a little boy. I am wearing cargo pant shorts, which I know are really out of style, but they're a little worn out. I will admit that they're khaki color, or they're like that army green color, and they have some rips, and they're probably more suited for yard work and probably shouldn't be worn into CVS or any other respectable business. And I've got tennis shoes on, and I've got my good tennis shoes on. My expensive Nike running shoes and socks, and of course I'm clean. Anyway, so I go into the CVS, go to the back of the store where they have the drinks. I get a bottle of water for Dylan. I get a Coke, a real Coke, first real Coke I've had, and I don't know how long. It was so good. Anyway, so then I go up to the front of the store, and I have a backpack on. And the heat index is probably 105 degrees, so I'm also sweating. Anyway, so I'm standing there, and there's a young woman in front of me at the counter, and he's helping her. And then the clerk, comes around the corner from around the counter, walks over to me, takes the bottle of water out of my hand, walks over to the self-service checkout, and buzzes it through. And I say, oh, I didn't even see that. I can do that. He turns around, he comes back, he takes the Coke out of my hand, walks over to the counter, to the self-checkout, and runs it through, puts them in a bag. He's not said a word to me this whole time, not one word. And I just think, oh, he's helping. How nice. He's pointing out to me that they have a self-service, and I don't have to wait for him to get done with this lady. And then as he walks by, he says the one and only thing he says to me throughout this entire thing, which is before you pay, if you have a CVS card, you can put it. You should run it through. That's all he said. No, thank you. No, nothing. And of course, again, I'm slow, so I'm like, oh, thanks. I really appreciate that. That was nice of you to help me out there. So I pay. I get my 2 beverages. I head outside, and I'm walking back, and it probably takes me 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5, to realize what had just happened. What had just happened was that I had been judged based on the way I looked. And don't get me wrong, I am in no way trying to compare this to a person of color, because I know people of color get judged all the time. But it was quite shocking to me to realize that he had looked at me and saw me for something. So anyway, so what he saw me as, I think, was, here's an old guy, gray-headed, got a mask on, got some crappy looking clothes on, and he's carrying a backpack in the middle of an August day in Raleigh, North Carolina, where the heat index is 105 or 110 degrees. What kind of people do that? Crazy homeless people. So I'm quite sure That's what he thought. That I was just some crazy homeless person who had wandered in his store to get cooled off, and he wanted me out of there as quickly as he could. And so anyway, it was just weird. It was an eye-opening experience. I'll say that. And I will say this too. I even thought about calling the store later and talking to the manager. And then it occurred to me the guy who did this to me was a young African American man who probably gets profiled all the time by people like me or anybody. And so I thought, no, I'm not going to call and get him in trouble because because of the way I looked. So anyway, there you go. That's my story for today. Not necessarily happy or funny, but I mean, it is kind of funny in a way, especially. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Love you. Thanks for watching.